I don't know if anybody out there can hear me. The year is 2052, and the Earth is ravaged by cold because everybody just releases R22 in the atmosphere, and our atmosphere is now gone. I believe I'm the only man alive, and I am out walking the frozen tundra looking for any signs of life. If you can hear me, please send out a signal, because it is freezing out here and I need shelter. No, anyway, that's all a lie. We're actually here to look at some of this stuff. We got a bread oven that's not working, and the reason it's not working is because it cannot satisfy the pressure switch. And it cannot satisfy the pressure switch because one of the exhausts is bad. I am here on the coldest day of the century, just trying to figure out why. So, stick around, guys. See if we can find something cool today. One of the problems I'm having is I don't know exactly which exhaust hood it is. It's either this one or this one. Like my mittens. Yeah, these are cool mittens. You can fold the tops over and release your fingers. So let's check out this piece of crap here. Well, yeah, it looks like that one hasn't worked in a long time. That one's not our issue. This one must be our guy. Yeah, look at that broken belt. Motor doesn't feel too great. Alright, well, let's dig into this. Alright guys, I apologize for not getting any footage of this, but it was very difficult to obviously try to set a camera up anywhere around here and do any sort of work, but do a quick little recap here. So I was able to verify power going through my switch. I have the motor removed, obviously. So I had power going to the motor, but it wouldn't actually do anything. If you look over here, looks like somebody let the smoke out. Yeah, it doesn't even want to turn. So she's locked right up. So we need to find us a new motor. Well guys, I'm off the roof. I'm inside this nice heated mechanical room. And bam. Now I just recently started carrying a little tiny folding table in my truck because I've ran into a few issues where I needed a work surface. So I threw this in my truck and got the old motor pulled off. New motor's right there. So I'm gonna swap the pulleys out, wire a new SJO cord on there, and then take it back upstairs and bolt it in place. It's gonna be much easier doing it down here than up in the snow. So yeah, tip of the day. If you don't already carry a little table, if you got the room for it, throw a little table in your truck. You might need it someday. It'll make life a little bit easier for you. Alright, first thing we gotta do is get this pulley off without breaking it. Alright guys, not sure how well this came across on camera, so I think I had a bad angle a little bit ago. Anyway, so my pulley puller only goes into the pulley, I don't know, just up to the end of the tip there. So I had to get a little bit creative, and what I'm going to do is a little bit of redneck engineering. I'm just going to take one of my 5/16 chucks, put it in there, and use that to get this pulley off. Yeah. Alright guys, new motor. It's mounted on its plate. It's all wired up for, I believe, the correct rotation anyway. It doesn't specify which rotation it's set up from the factory, as far as I can tell. I'm sure it's probably in this nomenclature here, but I don't know. It just says to reverse it, interchange these two wires. So I'm assuming it comes wired up for clockwise rotation, which is what I need. So wiring was pretty simple, nothing crazy. I didn't get any of that on video because my hands were in the way the entire time. But I don't know if you guys are in that sort of thing where you want to see my hands. If you want me to become a hand model for you, just leave me some comments below. All right, for all you weird cats out there. So now we just got to get up there. Yeah, I left a rope around here, yeah. All right, let's go. Well, it's super bright out here, so I don't know how much of this you can actually see. I got my motor kind of mounted. It's loose right now, so I can move it back and forth once I get the belt on there. Since there's no belt tensioner, I just tension the belt by moving the motor this way or that way. So, as you can tell, my pulley sits a little high. Now, I can tap it down a little bit more on the motor shaft, but I don't really want to do that. So I need to try to raise this old pulley up a little bit, which is going to be interesting because it's been here quite some time. So go grab my pulley puller, some WD-40. We'll lube this thing up and see if we can't get her to move just a teensy tiny bit for us. All right, motor's completely mounted. I got some pretty good tension on the belt. Pulleys are properly adjusted. Bolts are tightened down. I put a little bit of grease in these pillow bearings. I think that's what they're called anyway. Got my SOJ cord nice and secure over here. Spare belt, yada yada yada. Feels like we got proper rotation. All right, now all we got to do is go downstairs and make sure our bread oven can fire up. All right, guys, so as you saw a little bit ago here, the motor, when I had it up and running, was pulling about 13 amps, which is just about double what the motor rating is, or the plate is, I guess. You can see it way up there. It's rated for 7 amps. So I let it run for a little while, thinking that maybe it just needed to warm up, or maybe our bearings were a little stiff, so I put a little bit of grease in them. But that didn't really seem to make much of a difference. It got nice and warm and went off on its thermal. So I'm going to pull the motor off real quick and just double check the wiring and see if maybe something is miswired, which it's not a dual voltage motor, so I don't understand how something could be miswired. It's a 115 volt motor, and I measured 121 volts coming in. I also went downstairs and measured 121 volts that feeds this line. So I'm a little bit confused now. Some days I wonder why things that should be somewhat simple are not so simple. So here's my wiring. Real quick, let's take a look over here. Now to reverse rotation, just switch around the red and the black leads. So right now, it's set up for clockwise rotation. Red on the number 2, black on the number 5, line 1 and 4. Now if you look close, I don't know how well it's going to show up, but red right there is on number 2, and black is definitely on number 5. I have my incoming voltage on number 1 and number 4. So what would cause this motor to draw such high amps? Very confused. Alright, I'm going to leave this motor out and turn it on and see if I can see what my amp draw does then. So my motor's just kind of hanging out in here, positioned so that it hopefully won't fall. It's still really warm to the touch though. Let's turn it on real quick, just see what kind of amp draw we got initially. Alright, well, with no load on it, we're pulling 6.5 amps, which is right where it should be. Here's a life lesson for you guys. When you're changing out a motor, check your horsepower. I went down and checked the data tag on the other motor. The other motor is a 1/2 horse. So this motor is basically just too small. And I was careless because customer supplied me a motor and I made an assumption that it was the correct motor. Don't make assumptions, guys. Double check everything. Just pay attention, man. It's the little details that'll come back and ruin your effing day. Just like this little detail has ruined my day. Because not only do I have to waste time removing this new motor, but I'm going to be here another half a day putting it back on, putting another motor back on, and basically repeating the steps that I just did. So, all right, let me go get a new motor. We'll swap this out again and see if we can't get it right this time. We got our new motor in, our second new motor, and you'll notice it is actually 1/2 horse, 1725 RPMs, should be pulling right around 8 amps. I adjusted my belt and I adjusted the pulley so that the belt's not riding on the outside edge as much. Basically, I'm reducing the size of the pulley. Let's see what kind of amp draw we're pulling now. That's right where we want it. Let me get all this wiring tidied up and I'll go downstairs and make sure that big old oven's working. Looks good.